Alrighty, so I want to make this video as a response to my last video I made on this situation with Owen Benjamin, um, because I got a lot of responses on Twitter yesterday when I posted that video on Wednesday. Um, I I should say I posted the video on Wednesday. Um, got comments yesterday on it. So um, today I just want to make some clarification and reiterate things. The title of my last video was titled "It's Time for Owen Benjamin to Apologize." That was obviously a parody of the "It's Time" videos that the Unbearables did or used to do. My intention was in that video and still is to say that, look, now that Owen has disavowed Eric Nimmer, um, I think it would be prudent on his part to apologize to Chuck Boris and to the rest of the ex-Bears who tried to warn Owen about Nimmer in the first place, and who Owen threw under the bus beforehand. And I'm still also insisting that he apologize to the guys who he accused of trying to poison his children, because uh, from where I sit, that whole incident was a deflection from the Nimmer thing. As near as I can tell, that whole line was fabricated. I mean, what it is false, but what I'm saying is that was in response to the to the Nimmer thing. The whole thing on Nimmer was starting to come out, so some of the Bear slash Nimmer loyalists panicked, and they made that narrative out up. That's how I'm reading that. So, that was my intention of the last video I made, was to pretty much say, please apologize to Chuck, please apologize to everyone else in the DZ. We're not horrible monsters, like people have painted us to be, and that's okay. So I got comments on my last video saying, well, you shouldn't get mad at Owen because he didn't know that Nimmer stole Valor, which is which is I never said anything like that. Um, Obviously, I'm not faulting Owen for not knowing about stolen Valor, but what I am faulting him for is not at least looking into uh, this whole thing when he had multiple people coming to him and telling him, "Hey, something is up with that Nimmer guy." And yeah, I know they were friends. I get that. But if you're business associates with your friends, which he was, and like even if like one of my close friends was accused of doing strange stuff like Nimmer was, and I had multiple people coming to me about it. Like, yeah, at first I might tell him to buzz off, but like after a while, I would say, well, maybe there is something to this, and I would look into things. And Owen did not do that until he was backed into a corner and literally forced to admit that there was a problem with Nimmer. So that's my problem with Owen, in regards to this whole scenario, was that he defended Nimmer until basically the last possible minute, and continued to slander us. But let's let let's put that aside for a sec, because the other thing that people were saying about my video yesterday was that I was calling was that I was harassing people, and specifically a moderator who uh, works on Nick DiPaolo's podcast. Now, I want to make something clear. I've been a fan of Nick DiPaolo since I was in high school. Like, my sophomore year of high school, so 2011, that's when I discovered Nick DiPaolo because of Louis C.K.'s TV show. Nick used to have a pretty regular guest role on the Louis FX show, so that's how I discovered Nick. I've been a fan of his comedy for a while, so obviously I would never do anything to target Nick or anyone on his show. I'm a fan. I think the only thing I may have said in regards to Nick DiPaolo, when he was having Owen on his stream one time, I simply commented on his on one of his Instagram posts. I said something like, "Well, is Owen going to talk about the moon landing?" And I kind of wrote it sarcastically, but that was it. I have no ill will towards Nick DiPaolo or anyone on his staff. I talked to the person about this yesterday, and we've clarified things. I don't want to name this person on a stream because they would prefer to keep their name out of all this, but they know who they are, and I think we're good now. So there's that. And for the vast majority of the part with the Bears, here's my take on this. If you're willing to listen, and you're willing to at least watch our stuff and actually take a look at the other side of things, I can't speak for the other people, but I'm not gonna do anything. I'm here to listen. Now, with that being said, what pisses me off, and this is why I'm making this second video, is there were people commenting on the on my YouTube comment section on my last video and on Twitter when I shared it, who clearly did not watch my first video. And that's just lazy and sloppy. Johnny, I know. Yeah, you're absolutely right too. That was bad of them to do that. Point being, I'm not here to pick fights with anyone and really get into any of this tedious stuff. The whole reason why I've been involved in this is from the beginning, and I've been pretty consistent on this. I didn't like the fact that Nimmer roasted, or no, not so much that Nimmer roasted, but that John Neary, who went on to Eric Nimmer's stream and roasted him, was then called a racist by the Bears. And yeah. And that was wrong. And that really pissed me off. That was what kind of, started this whole thing in my mind. This whole saga started off because of Nimmer. And that's that's pretty much, if you follow the timeline, that's pretty much undisputable and undeniable. And then it just spiraled out of control. Um, so basically, uh, I'm I'm willing to listen to the Bears who are at least willing to listen to us and, consider the fact that, yeah, maybe Owen's wrong and, yeah, Nimmer's definitely wrong. I will give Owen credit for disavowing Nimmer, finally, but it took him way too long. Um, and also, as I said, I want an apology for Chuck. I want an apology to the two guys who Owen, doxed. I want an apology from Base Texan, although that's not gonna happen. That's the other thing. It's ironic that people were saying that I was harassing Nick DiPaolo's people slash Owen Benjamin's fans too, because uh, the other reason why I got dragged back into this was because Base Texan um, tagged me in a Twitter post of quote unquote dangerous ex bears. He did that like right after Christmas, and my Twitter handle was one of the names of you know of quote unquote conspirators to cause harm to Owen. Now let me make this also clear. While I don't agree with Owen on a lot of stuff, I think the moon landing crap is insane. While I don't like the fact that he stuck around with Nimmer so long, I never wanted to hurt him, and no one in the the DZ, no one I've associated with wants to hurt Owen. Um, that I'm close with. No one wants to hurt the kids, and you know, I would just rather that bygones be bygones, but it's too late for that. Like I said, I'm not going to do anything, but if the if the Bears keep pushing, um, you know, things aren't. I would never say things are going to turn violent because they won't. I'm not that guy, but basically just stop with the internet. They tried to poison my family. Like, this is not Game of Thrones, okay? And that's the other thing is when I called for Owen to apologize, this was actually pretty funny. But when I called for Owen to apologize on my stream, a bunch of the uh, Nimmer fans who are still in the Bears were like, "The Unbearables will never apologize. I hope Owen sees this so he can blast you on stream." It was real cringy, like tough guy internet bullshit, and like I just said, this isn't Game of Thrones. Um, there's no. This entire thing is based on the internet. There's no reason to start literal like tribal wars on the internet. You want to do that? Like, go play RuneScape. I know that's a dated reference, or World of Warcraft, or whatever medieval game kids are playing these days. That's you know, like that's the extent of online warfare I'm willing to go to. But this whole like, unbearables versus the DZ and versus, however other many online communities, it's all stupid. It really is. And that's my point. This thing should have never gotten to the level that it did. I'm trying to stay neutral and be I'm trying to stay neutral and be friendly with everyone. But like I said, I don't like the fact that Near was, you know, accused of being a racist. I don't like the fact that they've gone after Chuck or the two guys that helped Owen and then were accused of trying to murder his kids. Those are people who have become friends of mine and people who have helped my stream out. Uh, they're salty as far as their comedy goes. Like we all like dark humor. Uh, Coen Brothers dark humor, but we're not, contrary to what some people in the Bears would like you to have us think, we're not psychos. We're not we're not bad people. I mean, and we've rooted a lot of people out too in the Bear when we were on Unbearable still. We have to root crazy people out. So anyway, I'm going to wash my hands of this whole thing. Obviously, um, I mean, I've said my piece over and over and over again. I've been pretty consistent. Everything you want to know about this saga is already out there. Go watch the Porson documentary. If you don't know what the Neri saga is out, go watch that documentary. Um, yeah, choose your friends wisely. You are who you associate with. Exactly, and also find out who your friends are. Too. Um, like I we all talked, and no one in our group said anything about poisoning kids. We did discuss that, and no one's cool with that. Um, or causing harm to anyone in that way. Uh, so again, I'm just so sick of repeating all the usual stuff. That's why I'm not as clear and whatnot, just because I've repeated all this stuff over and over again. So uh, basically, before you start blowing up my Twitter, again with, well, you did this, and what about these guys doing that? Just know that basically, if you don't uh, mess with me on Twitter or anything like that, I'm not gonna bother you. Um, by all means, I've also said this: the Bears, any of the Bears, are welcome to watch my streams or my shows, um, and whatnot. Purely as audience members. I'm not gonna ban you for disagreeing with me on political topics or anything like that. I'm not like Big Bear that way. I actually like diversity of opinion in my streams. But just don't troll and just don't be an asshole. You're not gonna have a problem with me. The other guys, I'll let them speak for themselves on that. But as long as you keep things copacetic with me and try to be reasonable, I'll be reasonable with you. And you know, that's that. So anyway, to all of you outsiders out there who are watching this and are just bored by this whole saga, again, I apologize. This was mainly meant to be a show channel, and I promise that that I am going to continue doing live streams and whatnot, and that this channel will mainly go back to content. But this is the other thing. When I got tagged by Base Texan, in that Twitter stream, it did impact this podcast a bit. At first negatively, but now I actually have more subs now, so it worked out. But that's the reason why I'm doing this too under my Whitfield Report brand account, is because of the impact that this has had on my show. So basically, I'm just going to return to doing what I'm doing. I'm going to be analyzing the State of the Union address on Saturday evening, and we're going to move away from this Owen stuff because I agree it is getting tedious. Unless they keep bringing it back up again. So that's that, and that's what I have to say on the matter. Just don't be an asshole, basically, and don't put up with bullshit either. So anyway, hope you all have a good rest of your day, and as I